Let's get to know our ukulele by defining the different parts of the instrument. So there is a main body of the instrument, and it has a hole in the middle. It's called the sound hole. There is a long neck here that has frets on it, which are attached to a fingerboard. And then there's what's called the headstock up here. There are strings, there are 4 strings that are attached to the body of the instrument, and this is called the bridge, this area here. They sit on a white piece that is known as the saddle. This saddle is often made of bone, sometimes it's made of plastic. So the strings sit there, they're tied to the edge of the bridge here, the bottom part. They stretch across the instrument. There's a point where they make contact right above the neck here, and this is called the nut. There are little grooves that they sit in there, and then they're attached through tuning pegs here, and they're wrapped around by tuning keys, the tuning keys on the side that you wrap around. So there are 4 strings, and we name the strings from low to high in the usual tuning that we're going to use, G, C, E, and A, and we number the strings. The high string, the highest pitch here, is called the first string, and it's actually the string when you're playing in normal playing position that's closest to the floor. That's the first string. Then we have the second string, third, and fourth. A is a high string, the first string. E is a second string. C is a third string, and G is the fourth. And we often will use a high G tuning or a low G tuning. This is a low G, where this note is the lowest pitch we have. I have another instrument here that has the high G tuning, and you'll hear that that 4th string is a higher pitch. They call this the reentrant tuning, because we play a pitch, then we re-enter the scale at a lower pitch and work our way up. And this is actually the most traditional tuning of the ukulele, the original tuning that was made popular. The "My Dog Has Fleas," that tuning. But either way, the components and the anatomy of the instrument is the same. It's just that one string that's different. And usually I have, this is a clear string, all the strings are clear. I use D'Addario strings, and I actually use, they have great ukulele strings. I prefer the guitar strings. I use the Pro Arte guitar strings, and they work really well. I use the top 3 strings from a guitar set, and with a high G tuning, I get an extra high string, the first string, and I use that for the 4th string as well. So if we're to play the second string, can you try that with your instrument and play the note E? Where's the second string? Just get familiar with the numbering. Where's the 4th string? Where's the 1st string? What's that pitch? It's an A. The 3rd string, that's C. The 2nd string is E. The 4th string is a G. So G, C, E, A. Now, when you look at the tuning keys, the strings usually go on the inside, on either the tuning pegs on the top or the bottom. So with the top 2 strings, the string actually sits to the left of the tuning peg, and on the bottom 2 strings, the 3rd and the 4th, it sits to the right. And as you're tuning your instrument and changing the strings, that'll make a difference on whether the pitch rises or falls, whether you move clockwise or counterclockwise. The way that my strings are, as I mentioned, the lower strings, the string attaches from below the tuning peg or to the right of it. And so if I tune the 3rd string here, if I move clockwise, it actually gets lower. If I move counterclockwise, it changes the pitch. When tuning, just keep in mind, it's usually just small increments that you have to move to get the notes to change. You're not usually going to have to be cranking the string too much, and if you go too high, it can actually break, so you want to be careful about that. I'm going to go in the opposite direction. Let's see if I play the 1st string. If I move counterclockwise, it's going to lower the pitch. Clockwise, it raises it. And there'll be a video you can study for how to change strings and more detailed about how to tune and use a tuner and things like that. I'll go into that in another video. But I just want to introduce you to the basic layout of the instrument. Now the body here, we often describe the thicker part as the lower bout and the thinner part here on top as the upper bout. So upper bout, lower bout, there's a bridge, the saddle is where the strings sit. They're tied around little holes that are in the bridge attached there. The strings stretch across the fingerboard. They lay on top here. This is called the nut, this piece here. And then they're attached to the tuning pegs, and you can use the tuning keys to change the pitch. The frets are the last thing that we need to know. These are these metal strips that go across the fingerboard, and they're numbered from 1 all the way up. Your instrument probably has about 19 or so frets. And when you play a note, if I say play a note at the first fret, you don't play directly on the fret, you play directly behind it. So if you play a note at the 5th fret, let's say on the E string, which is the 2nd string, and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets, not on the fret, but right before it, I play that note, and that note is A. So get to know your fingerboard. The dots will help you. There's usually, most ukuleles have a dot in the 5th fret, the 7th, the 10th, and the 12th. And you might even have little dots like my instrument has on the side of the neck here. I have dots on the 7th, 10th, and 12th frets. So those just help you find your place as you move up and down the neck. And they tell you the 5th fret, 7th, 10th, and 12th. So that's a basic introduction to the anatomy of the ukulele.